Okay, now that we finished our writing our smart contract, it's time to compile it and test it out. Now, to compile it using Remix is fairly straightforward. All you do is over here on the left pane, click Start to Compile. And it looks like we actually have a syntax error here. And it looks like there's an error. So I have a typo here. RUQ requester. So let's try to compile that one more time. This time it says feature request has worked. And then to test it out, basically I'm going to drag this over. We can use the run function or the run tab. Now make sure you are using JavaScript VM because that is the simplest one out there. And then here you'll see I have 5 accounts, 100 Ether each, and each one of them has an address to identify which person this is. The gas limit, again, if you don't know what gas is with every transaction that you make a push where you're modifying data, there's a gas amount of money that you have to pay to do so. Now, you don't have to pay anything if it's just a GET request, if you're just getting the array, viewing things. But when you do add things to this contract, you do have to pay amount of gas. And this gas limit is just specifying the limit of gas where if the gas is above this limit, then you will not make a transaction. And if you do put something, then you can have a value or actually this is if you decide to have a input into the contract of how much money, then you can put it here. And again, these are different currency values. The Wei is the smallest and Ether is the most standard one. Now here is my contract. So before I deploy this one again, I just want to delete any existing contract I had before because this was before any modifications. So I'm going to delete that. And then here I'm going to choose my contract, which is feature request, and then choose to deploy. Now down here you'll see all the different functions that we implemented. So the blue buttons here indicate the get function. So these functions are free to use, while the red ones are making a change to the blockchain itself. Therefore, it will cost a certain amount of gas to do so. Now, first off, by hitting this deploy button right here, I've already used my chosen account here to create the board. So it has already ran the constructor function here, and it already made my account the board manager. As you can see, I also charged a certain amount of gas because now I don't have 100 Ether anymore. So if I click the button to get the board manager here, it automatically shows who is the board manager. And in this case, this hash should match up with this hash because it is the account that I chose to create the board. And indeed, it does start with a CA3, CA3, and with hashes this long, usually the first three are enough to identify to make sure that it is indeed the same account. Now, let's say I swap over to this user, the second user, and I would like to make a feature request. So for strings, you always want to wrap in quotes. So I want to make a feature request being, I don't know, maybe this is a piece of software that helps me um, manage my sport teams. So now I want the feature to be able to, change team I am supporting. And since it only takes one input, which is the string, now I do a create request. Now you see the second account also lost a certain amount of money by creating this request. And let's say I want to make 2 requests. I want to say I want to be able to email my fave my team manager. Let's say I want that. And I create a second request. So now I put 2 requests in. So my blockchain should contain these two requests. So if I go to my requests, and if you remember, the requests is an array of request objects or structs. So if I wanted the number 0 request, which is the first request we put in, we can do that, and this is a get function, so it's free. Then it'll show us the address, which is the person who put in the request, which here matches up with the number up here. And then we see that the first request, the description is here. Description is change team I'm supporting, and right now the upvote count is 0. If I choose 1, then I should see my second request. So again, I'm the same person, so same address. And then I have a different description because my second one is a different one. And then the upvote count is still 0. So now I'm going to change to user number 3. So user number 3, he likes this email feature. So he wants to upvote this. Now here we're assuming that he knows the number of the position of this request in our request, in our array of requests. So he knows to put in, he wants to upvote number 1. So he's going to put in 1, he's going to upvote that. As you can see, he lost some ether while doing this upvote as well. Now, if I check out the requests, the upvote is actually 1. Now, let's say he really wanted this and he wanted to vote twice. So he's going to press this button one more time. This time, you can see it actually threw an error. The transaction threw an error, therefore it was not able to. And this was because we required him to not already voted for this feature, and this is exactly what we expect. So if I do this one more time on the request, it's still 1, it did not change to 2. Now let's say user number 4 comes by and he or she also wants to upvote number 1, so he does that. And then now when we look at the request, the upvote count is 2. So a quick little test shows that our contract is indeed working the way we want it to be.